You're listening to Reignite, a podcast about taking the time to hang with your pals. I'm MJ,
And I'm Matt, aka Stormageddon.
and joining us to close out our Citadel discussion is the incomparable Liana Ruppert.
What up?
Hey, welcome
Hey.
back.
It's been a while. I'm excited to talk Mass Effect. Let's do this.
Yeah,
Let's do the thing.
last time we had you here, you joined us for Kasumi's loyalty mission. And then your second appearance on the show was via our entire panel that you set up back at PAX East, back in the before times, before the world ended.
I find it funny that Liana was here for the Kasumi episode and is here for this episode. Liana, do you just really like parties?
I mean, everybody should like parties. I just like fighting clones and killing the rich, apparently.
I mean, that sounds like a good time all around.
Yeah. So it's been a little bit since you've been here, and there's some new things going on. Why don't you tell the folks a little bit about the new kinds of stuff that you are working on and where you are currently doing that work?
Yeah, last time I was on, I was at a completely different property. Now I am a senior editor over at Game Informer and Game Informer magazine, which is pretty cool. Right now we're just working. A lot of Mass Effect coverage because of Legendary Edition, which was my excuse to finally write about as much Mass Effect as I want, which has been awesome. I think we've had like 30 articles go up in the last week. I'm not ashamed. I'm not proud. And then yeah, just doing the thing, working on a couple of side projects, working on my first book, just hanging out, doing the thing.
Amazing. I love it. Yeah, it's funny. I feel like every time I see something else Mass Effect from Game Informer, I'm like, it's probably Liana, but let me check. Let me just make sure. Your friend Alex Van Aken, I forget what we were talking about, but I mentioned, oh yeah, but Liana loves Mass Effect, and like deadpan he went, who's Liana? And I was like, and I believed him for a second. I was like, you're kidding, right? He's like, I got you.
You know what's funny is I did a panel with Alex with an indie panel, and I didn't know who he was. Like not to say it's weird. He was just like, it was a very frantic time, and he was sitting on one side, I was sitting on the other. But we did this entire indies panel together, and I had no idea. And then it was like 2 or 3 weeks working together at Game Informer. He's like, no, we've already met. Like we literally did a panel together.
I love it. That's
like,
amazing.
I'm so sorry, dude.
Oh, that's amazing. I love when that kind of shit happens. Before we get into your updates of choices since we last spoke to you, we'd love to know how you're enjoying the Legendary Edition. This episode will air quite a while after the Legendary Edition had come out, and a lot of folks already probably have their hands on it, but knowing the kind of Mass Effect fan you are, miss 30-something playthroughs, I'm dying to know your thoughts on the Legendary Edition so far.
Oh my God. So we got our copy a little bit early for review purposes, and I was not the reviewer. One, I'm not the only Mass Effect fan at Game Informer. Shocker. But two, we were also kind of I was worried about bias, like people assuming that I was a little bit biased, even though I'm super critical. Like you can like things and be critical of them as well. They're not mutually exclusive. But yeah, because
the point
of
of this
that,
podcast.
right? But yeah, so the first time I did a male shep, and then now I'm working on a fem shep playthrough, so I'm on my second run of the Legendary Edition now. Who needs sleep, right? Because the new season of Destiny also dropped, so like I'm pretty much always gaming, which is not a bad problem, but then I like wake up and write about games, and it's just a little odd. Like that's all my brain is on the last month. But yeah, I really like it. I feel like I actually knew about the remaster a year and a half before it was announced. Actually, I actually leaked it on a stream by mistake, and
Oops.
thank God nobody caught it. Like it was literally my pre-write of Mass Effect Legendary Edition announced, and like the cover art was right there at the top, and I was like, you could see the moment of panic where I was like, oh shit. But I remember they like walked me through it, and I was like, okay, that sounds cool. But I play on PC, so I've always modded it like crazy. So I was like, that's cool for other people. I don't know if I'll necessarily pick it up just because, I already have all the DLC and stuff like that. But no, man, the changes, everybody talks about the Mass Effect 1 changes, which are phenomenal. The lighting does so much to change your perspective. Like, even if nothing remotely changed in the locations, it feels different. Like, even like Pharos, which I can't stand that mission. I don't know what it is, but it grates on my nerves. And even that I felt myself really enjoying because the detail, it made it feel more realistic, and I don't know, it was exciting. But like I feel like too, the real magic is the subtle changes in Mass Effect 2 and 3, which I was not expecting. Like And I don't see a lot of people talking about that, but it's done in a way that, Miranda, I never liked her. 30 plus playthroughs and I never really vibed with her. Even when I romanced her, it was just kind of pushing through it. And I don't know, something about what they did to her, her skin, and just everything about her just is more relatable, I guess. And I find myself really digging her this time. And Jacob is a lot more relatable this time. And Thane looks, I don't know, just they look phenomenal. Liara, you can actually see a little bit of that tension that she went through trying to recover Shepard, and you can see that in her face now. She doesn't look like the little doe-eyed blueberry from the first game, and I don't feel like the original trilogy really did that justice. So, yeah, good job, Bioware. You did good.
I love it. Yeah, I think the subtle changes are phenomenal. I mean, like the thing I said to a lot of folks is like the combat, while the combat had a long way to go in the first game, the fact that the guns feel like guns, they feel like there's a give and take with the aiming and the shooting that just wasn't there in the original version. That really makes it, like, I played an engineer. I always in the first game played nothing but soldier because I struggled with the powers, but this time I did really well as an engineer with the pistol because I felt more precise, which was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, they did. Great, and it doesn't punish you for going sniper or shotgun now, because I love going sniper, and I felt like the original trilogy, the first game, really punished you if you did that, because the recoil was ridiculous, the aiming was ridiculous. You're gonna have to slog through a bunch of levels before it is even remotely bearable. They did good, I think. It's great for newcomers. It's great for people returning to the franchise. It's more than I was expecting.
Same.
And I was already pretty hyped. So, yeah, I think this is the step they needed. BioWare really needed this one.
Yes, I agree. Absolutely, 100%.
So the last time we had you here, we ran through your choices for Mass Effect 1, but there are some really important choices for Mass Effect 2, and we'd like to get your perspective on what happens in your ideal playthrough.
That's hard because I have so many. Like, that's like asking me to pick my child.
Well, fortunately, I'm only asking you about 3 things and not like every single possible decision.
That's good. Then we would be here for like 20 hours.
Exactly. So, ideally, do you end up killing or rewriting the Geth in A House Divided?
Rewriting. I've only killed them twice, and it killed my soul to do that both times.
All right. What happens to the collector base?
Blow that shit to space.
Hell yeah. Fuck the elusive man.
Fuck
Passing the vibe check. It's our secondary vibe check question.
Yeah, it's like, do you do the right thing and fuck over the elusive man? You are a friend. Good job.
And what about your favorite romance for Mass Effect 2?
Shit. Garrus. I do like Tally's though, but I cheated on her my last playthrough and I felt really bad.
Yes.
Right? Because I wanted to romance Caden in Mass Effect 3, and then I forgot that I dumped her in the second one, and I took them on the Geth Dreadnought mission together.
Oh no.
And they have a really awkward conversation, like, oh, I guess he traded down. And I'm like, I'm sorry, baby. Don't hate me. I'm a horrible person.
That's hilarious.
I live with a lot of regret, okay?
Do if I were you. It would also give me lots of feelings of regret and like upset.
It's terrible. And they're not even real people, but like in my head they are, and I'm just like, you guys are judging me.
Exactly.
And, like, when I die, you're just gonna be like at hell, like waiting for me. Like, I know what you did. You took us both on the mission. How dare you? I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Amazing. All right. Well, before we dive really deep into the conclusion of Shore Leave, why don't MJ you give us a summary of this part 3?
I find it funny that this is the shortest summary, but it's the one that I have the most notes about.
Well, because what it's about is pretty straightforward and simple. It's just there's a lot there.
Oh yeah.
So the Battle of the Clone is now done, and it's time for some actual shore leave. Shepard gets the chance to hang with all surviving members of their friend group, including a special date with their love interest. To top it all off, the crew of the Normandy throws a party to end all parties before they return to the Normandy. End the war.
So the question that we ask folks is why they picked what they picked. But Liana, you are special because I think you were the second person I asked to come on this season. We knew we wanted to have you back. And within seconds of typing, what do you want to do? You said shore leave. You were so sure. And then we realized we had to break it up. So, of course, I came back to you and asked which part you would like to do. And equally as fast, you said the party. What is so special about the party part of this DLC to you?
Party part.
Party
I
part.
don't know, man. Okay, so unpopular opinion. Mass Effect 3 is actually my favorite. I really like the somber tones in Mass Effect 2. You know, Shepard's like, hoorah, we got this. We're going to kick Reaper ass. Collectors who? What? We don't know her. Like, super sassy. And then in, like, Mass Effect 3, they're very, like, as the game progresses, they get more and more somber, more and more morose. And you can tell that it's not that they necessarily think they're going to lose, but they're like, I know even if we win, I'm not going to be able to see it. And I don't know, as somebody I used to be active duty. I've been in war zones. I've, had friends die in the line of duty. It kind of hit home because that is a realization and something that you have to accept. And it's hard, but that doesn't mean you could just stop moving. So I really liked that. But I like the party and the shore leave because it is that reprieve. You have, even when we were active duty, like we could make a party out of anything. You have to be able to let loose. And it was just the ultimate fan service DLC. Garrus makes the calibrating line. He makes fun of Liara going, by the goddess. And like, I don't know, man, Grunt gets drunk and cries in a shower because Hanar can't wear sweaters. Like, why? I don't know. This is like the epitome of Mass Effect 3. I think it's the best DLC. I think, honestly, the Citadel DLC is probably the best gaming DLC in gaming history, bar none. And the party part is the best part of the Citadel DLC. So, yeah, when you gave me the option, I was like, oh, yeah, let's do it.
I love that. Yeah, experiencing this for the first time has been so wild because I've been playing these games for so long. And, like, our community is incredible and no one in the Reignite community spoiled anything for me. MJ didn't, but like there was some stuff that I experienced in this part of the DLC where I went, how did you keep this from me? It's so good. How did you hide it from me? And so and I agree with everything you said. I think like people like to badmouth fan service, but I don't understand why. Like creating a part of a game that's in service to your most devoted fans is a good thing, especially with something like this, because we want to know these characters. Like MJ and I this whole season have talked about how Mass Effect 3 is the first game that really allows you to get to know the characters and know the characters exist without Shepard, right? They have casual conversations when you're not around, all that kind of stuff. And this party is kind of like the pinnacle of that, giving these characters shape beyond Shepard.
Yeah. No, agreed. Especially if you don't romance Garrus or Tally. Like the first time I ever walked in them smooching, I was like, "Aw, good for you guys." Just, I've already played this game. I know how it ends. So find happiness, y'all. It's great.
I also really enjoy the party. The banter throughout this entire section is just so good. The dialogue is snappy. It's witty. It makes you laugh out loud in multiple places. I think it is probably the best possible experience for the 3 games.
Yeah.
I agree. It's human. It's
Yes.
organic. The dialogue doesn't feel forced. You could hear these conversations. I think my favorite part of Mass Effect 3, honestly, is the scuttlebutt conversations when Vega and Garrus are shooting the shit in the mess hall. And Garrus is kind of being like, okay, kid, like, pump the brakes, dude. You may be the beefhead, but I've been here since the first game, okay? Some fourth wall breaking action there. And yeah, it's their interactions are great. And it's hard to do that, especially when you think about the complexities of game design where none of these voice actors are meeting each other. They're not playing off of each other. Half the time, we just interviewed Jennifer Hale and Courtney Taylor. And Courtney Taylor, of course, does the voice of Jack, and Jennifer's female Shep. And Courtney was saying, she's like, I didn't even know what the character looked like. I didn't know anything about him. They just said she's a badass. She's got a torture past and go. And she was like, fuck it. And she has a big party past and she's like, you know what? I vibe with this character. And she just let loose. And that's great direction and great writing, honestly, that even with all of that, it felt like everybody was in the same room. It felt like they've gone through hell together. It's felt very real. And that's magical, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get to the party part, there are some hangouts. So we're hanging out on the Silver Sun Strip, and we get random invites into our inbox from our friends saying, hey, invite me over to your apartment. Some of them are pretty, let me say, pretty forceful, like, come on, pump the brakes. Like, I feel like Vega's like, why haven't you had me over yet? And I'm like, dude, I just
don't
got
like
the apartment.
you.
I happen to love Vega, but like, inviting yourself over, pump the brakes.
Yeah.
Because whenever you come over, you just want to work out and do nothing. Even when I'm about to leave, you just stay there.
But do you do the push-up contest? That's the important question. Always. I don't think I've ever skipped that. I'm like, no, I'm gonna show this punk who's boss. I'm the boss. Screw you, dude.
Do we want to just go down this list as I've written it, or do we want to like pick and choose who we want to talk about?
I mean, I feel like we can go down the list, and some I think we're gonna have more to say than others, but might as well try and keep it orderly. I mean, Lord knows the three of us are all a little long-winded, so having some semblance of guide is probably a good idea.
Sure, it'll
From
be
the
fine.
South, I like to talk a lot.
So let's start with Edie then.
Okay.
I really liked this hangout with Edie because she comes over with the explicit goal of, I want to do a nice thing for the people in my life. And her understanding of humanity is, and the way to do that is presents. And as a person who, like, gift giving is one of my love languages, gift receiving is also a love language, not in a materialistic sense, but in a, you thought about me and you, like, thought about the things that I need and the things that I like, and you showed that you care with your choice of gift. And I think that that's something that Edie is struggling with here. And she's like right on the cusp of understanding the point of giving a gift. She's just not quite there. She's not making that connection yet.
I love her. She's so freaking weird.
It's so great. Like, I love this lens of humanity we get to witness through Edie, and like this whole, like gift giving, like, what should I get Jeff? And you can like advise her one way or the other. And like, if you advise her towards the car, then you have to stop her from like spending all of Joker's money with that Paragon trigger, which was like really funny. My favorite moment in this whole interaction is when then she talks about giving a gift to you and presents you with the ring. My male shep, who I've designed to be me, said exactly what I would say in that situation. He just went, are we getting married? It's so good.
I don't know, man. I like her because, like, it's funny too, because I feel like the Legendary Edition does a better job at providing nuance. I don't know if they like sped up the dialogue or something, but it just feels like everything flows just a little bit better. And now, like, I can see her sassiness was there in Mass Effect 2. You really start to see it when she kind of deadpans the jokes with Joker. So to see her in the Citadel DLC and be like, look, girl, I don't know what I'm doing. Help a robot out. What do I give this? Do I just take the card and run? Like, what do I do?
Edie brings up a really interesting point. She technically, legally does not exist and therefore has no money of her own. So she's in a really vulnerable position because if something were to happen to Joker, she would have to kind of make her way in the world with no resources. And yes, she's talented and she could get resources easily, but maybe not necessarily legally. And and like having Joker there acts as kind of a buffer to protect her from people who would use her for their own devices and their own means, and it gives her the freedom to like pursue her own interests and everything. And I appreciate that Joker basically just gave her his credit shit and was like, go have fun.
Homeboy does not know anything. Like, he's like the really excited dude that gets his first girlfriend and doesn't really like doesn't really know. And he's like, you know what? This is fine. I'm just gonna wing it. Like, this is fine.
How much trouble could she possibly get into?
Also, she's a robot. What could she possibly buy for herself? Answer: a victory ring that is so incredibly rare there's only like 3 in existence.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about how many credits that cost.
Oh boy. I appreciate Edie, and I appreciated this scene.
Me too. I think it was kind of perfect.
I want to see her go into a casino and just clear everybody out. And then just for her to like play dumb, like, I'm just a VI. What can I help you with? And just like totally just mess with everybody's minds. It would be great.
That would be excellent.
Who's next? Who we
Miranda.
got?
We got Miranda.
Ooh.
So
Miranda, who has a 2-part.
Yep. The first part is you get to invite her to the apartment to catch up, and then the second part is you meet her at the casino for some hangouts. You mentioned earlier, Liana, and something that I want to speak to. Like, I also didn't think much of Miranda until we talked about her through line in this podcast. And, like, I see her as a much more complete character, especially compared to a lot of the other human characters. She grows through a lot of growth and arc, and, like, when she comes over to your apartment to talk to you, there's a humanity to Miranda and a softness that wasn't there before. She was a hard ass a lot of the time. And like in this, and especially the second part of these two hangout moments, you really get to see what I think is the truer and more real, less protected side of Miranda.
There's a level of vulnerability from both Shepard and Miranda in this particular hangout where she comes over to your apartment for a drink. Yes, you do get some backstory and lore stuff. She tells you about Hope Lilium, who was the person who put together the dossiers, who we know as Maya Brooks. And you do get that. But the music gets soft very suddenly, and you have this very vulnerable and open conversation with Miranda that is laden with some sass and some humor. But it is a very deeply human friendship that you formed. And I just thought, especially playing from a femshep perspective, it's this strong bond of like sisterhood, and like as a femme presenting person, your fellow femme presenting friends, that is an incredibly strong bond. Those are people that have been through similar things and similar experiences as you. And while male Shep and Miranda have had similar experiences, it's not quite the same as a femme Shep and Miranda.
Yeah, I could see that, especially when you think back to Mass Effect 2 when Miranda was just very against Shepard. Like you were such a pain in the ass. You were all my time, all my money, all my resources. My life has been nothing but you for the last 2 years. Get your shit together. Let's go. I don't take orders from you. You're on my ship. And yeah, and to see that change with her loyalty mission in 2, and then seeing that again come full circle in the Citadel DLC is great. I love too that her little outfit, like the dress. Because, like, yes. I don't know, I have this whole headcanon, like, she was never, when she was with her dad, she had to be what he wanted. When she was with the Luciman, she had to be what he wanted. And I feel like, I don't know, I just picture her picking out a nice dress because she feels like wearing a dress and just doing something for her. And yeah, I will say, with the Legendary Edition, and we were talking about this earlier, is like, the changes they made to her look, her aesthetic, with the remaster has really changed my perspective of her. When I first played the trilogy, I really couldn't stand her. I really just could not stand her. I don't know what it was about her, but she really just grated on me. And then eventually, I romanced her eventually, and I was like, okay, I don't hate her now. I still don't feel like she's a huge part of the trilogy. And this time with my remaster playthrough, like, no, I really connected with her this time differently. And I gotta say, I really think it's a shallow reason, like the physical changes they did to her. She looks more real. She doesn't have the weird sallow skin. Like she looks human, and it made it easier to talk to her. And yeah, with the Citadel DLC, I like the first part more. I like her not feeling like she has to entertain or be the smartest person in the room. She can just say what she wants to say. She can, like you said, vulnerable. She can be vulnerable. And she just can be herself, especially with the people in the squad that weren't there for Mass Effect 2, like Caden or Ashley. She never met them outside of Horizon. She didn't know they don't know who the fuck she is. Yeah. And for her to be able to be like, look, this is me, take it or leave it. Screw Cerberus, I'm my own person. Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
I actually really liked the casino hangout with Miranda because, like you said, she shows up, she's wearing this dress, which is a really nice nod to her freedom to choose femininity and to, like, make her own choices. And she's talking about how she feels lost because now she has the option to live a normal life, but she doesn't really know what normal is, which a femshep is in the same boat. A male shep too, to a degree. Again, I feel like this friendship goes even deeper when you're looking at it from a feminine perspective. Because you have this moment where you say, we can talk about regular stuff. And she says, like, shoes?
Right? Right. I will say though, to your point though, I think that I do agree. I think the friendship means more as a femship. But there is a magic to the male ship too, because I feel like that might be one of the first times where she's having an interaction with a prominent male figure, that's not either based in sexual, if you're not romancing, obviously, not based in sexual attraction, or somebody that uses her just as a resource. Like Shepard never.
Yes, that's also valid.
And I thought that was cool too, because I don't know, there's so many stories out there of, women and having good reason not to be able to trust, male presences in their life, and for her to be able to open up and be like, you don't want me because I was engineered X way. You want me in your life because we're friends. And I don't know, that's special.
It is. I agree.
Yeah, I as the male ship in this scenario, what I liked also is that a lot of this is very soft and a little flirty, but it's not meant to be like, oh, they have secret feelings for each other. It felt very natural as just, a man and woman feeling comfortable with each other and just being friendly and kind and soft. And none of that it didn't have to be a relationship. It could just be a friendship that had this vibe where they understood each other and could joke around and be a little goofy. And I love that. I think that especially the third Mass Effect allows queerness and friendships and like atypical, like not, where it's male to male or female to female, be not the norm that society dictates, right? Like they don't have to be catty. They don't have to be, hard or soft. Like it can be whatever it is based on the two characters. That freedom was really nice. And you really see it with Miranda, who is just really kind and funny and wants to be Shepard's friend here. And I loved seeing it.
I like that point though. Of they're not like Cortez and Caden, they're not feminine at all. Like they have no feminine, and yeah, you do see that a lot in games where, like, even as much as I hate to say it, because girl, you know how I feel about my Dorian, but Dorian himself is pretty flamboyant. Yep. Makes the jokes about the fashion and while it makes sense in his case because he's high society, and I think it's less about flamboyancy and more of just high society type living or whatever. Yeah, I do like that because I do know. I remember I was actually active duty. Sorry, I know I'm going off topic here, but when I was active duty when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed, which is the law that says you can't say you're gay if you're active duty.
Right.
And I remember so many people were so excited and so many people were super against it. And it was just really funny because I remember my Master Chief is like the biggest guy that talks like this. Like, you got something to fucking say, punk. And some poor piss-ass little E3 had the balls to go up to him and be like, well, if they're gay, they need to keep it to himself. He goes, okay, I'll tell my husband that. And I was like, yes! like, the dude is terrifying. I was like, break the stereotype, boo, because, like, I'm sorry, I dare you to go up to that man and say absolutely anything.
Yeah.
I love that. It's such a perfect story.
Speaking of macho men.
Yes, let's move on to Vega, who...
you like how I did that, right?
Yeah,
that was a good segue.
Smooth. Vega, who I've come to really love in this playthrough. It also helps that I actually genuinely love Freddie Prinze Jr., his nerdery and his loud public nerdery and, like, denouncing shithole fans of certain franchises, like, really warmed me up to him, someone who's already a fan. But, like, so Vega invites himself over. You have, he shows you his N7 tattoo. He finally got it. Which, I'll admit I was a little distracted when the shirt came off. I'm not going to lie. Yes, MJ.
He comes to your apartment. He, like, elbows his way into your apartment, basically. Says some shit, if you're femshep, about, like, oh, am I making things hard for you and your love interest? And then goes, oh, by the way, and just takes off his shirt without any preamble. I'm like, sir... This is Wendy's.
I'm about to say, please make the Wendy's joke. Yes. No, you know what makes that even weird though, is he makes that joke, but if you haven't romanced anybody, you can actually have a one night stand with him, and he's very against it. Like, it's very kind of.
I've seen those videos. And I'm like, ooh, no.
It's very uncomfortable, and like he's very honest. Like, I don't feel like we should be like, and not like, oh, we got to keep it a secret. Like, he's like, no, this feels wrong. Can we stop? And Shepard's like, no, you're mine now, bitch. I'm just like, oh my god, this is a lot.
Yeah, no.
I love him though. I love. That's my favorite thing, even though it's a pain in the ass because it takes forever. I use I play on PC, and when I code to the push-up thing, I do the console command that makes it go fast, so I can kind of
Oh, I hate you so much.
go through it a little bit. Because like, holy crap, and nobody have time for that. But I don't know. I like it because I like it not because I'm like, oh, he's this profound character, but he is that meathead. Like that is such a stereotype in the military for a good reason. Like I can name 5 guys I served with that are exactly like Vega to the T. And I don't know, when you're doing a military game, like it's important to have that. And then having that really easy friendship with Cortez was really cool. And I don't know, it kind of, I don't know, it was almost in its overt masculinity, almost was like the perfect antithesis to toxic masculinity because
Yes. It was wholesome masculinity.
it was wholesome. Like he would do anything for you with friends. He would have those moments when he would talk to you, and you could kind of see that intelligence come out a little bit, and the vulnerability, and it really, especially when he tells you he's going for N7, you really see him kind of like he's at the start of his life, and I think that's really cool because by this point we kind of know Shepard's at the end of their life. We know Liara's going off to do her shadow broker thing. We know like everybody's kind of going off to be these big things, but they're already established versus Vega. You know, even Cortez, he had a husband, he had his life, and Vega's like, no, man, I'm just getting started. Like, let's do this. And I don't know, he's got that cockiness, and that's oh my God, you meet kids right out of boot camp. They are the most snide pieces of shit you'll ever meet. They are so annoying. I want to backhand them all. And him at the freaking party where they're drinking, and he's like, yeah, I could beat you with my, I don't need no stinking biotics. And then like Liara and Kaden just kind of like, okay, yeah, sure, buddy. Like whatever you said. It just, I don't know. Again, it goes back to those moments that just feels organic. Like I could easily see that conversation happening in real time with real people in the real world. And I don't know, man. It's just the perfect DLC. It's perfect.
I agree. I want to highlight some specific things from this conversation. If you are a person who romances Garrus, he is very curious about how that works in the bedroom, but he can't bring himself to say it. He's just like, do they have the same, you know what? Never mind. And I'm just like, do you want to ask about Turi and Dick? Is that what's happening here?
I think he's a little bi-curious. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, absolutely. I support this theory.
Go ahead.
Like Cortez, I think.
I think so
I don't
too.
know.
I ship it.
I ship it too.
That's literally my ship. Like when I read like I don't know. It's so wholesome because I can't bring myself. The one time I romanced Cortez as Shepard, I was like, I know I'm about to make you a widow a second time. I'm so sorry. Like, I picture like Vega like taking care of him and like cooking him breakfast and I don't know.
That's cute.
Just makes me happy.
Shepard and Vega have a secret handshake.
Yep.
Naturally.
In my notes, I have he tricked me. I thought he was leaving.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because he's about to leave. He's walking. He runs down the hall. He's like, "Oh, no way!" And then starts punching your punching bags. And no matter what you say to him, he won't leave. He just stays there.
Stays there. Matt, did you do the pull-up challenge?
I did, and then I got bored, so I stopped. And he's like, "That's it." I was like,
I can't let my pride let me stop. I can't.
Do you remember how high you got? Like what number you got to?
Oh,
I'm just curious.
I think like 40 something or 50 something.
Weak.
Isn't like the cap like 100?
I think it's,
No, it's 182.
yeah.
Yeah.
So his
that's fun.
personal best was 182. It was a race between my stubbornness and my ADHD. My stubbornness won, but I would like to say 0 out of 10 unrealistic. Vega did not say 69 nice, even once.
Touche.
I love
A
that.
jarhead will always make the 69 joke. Always.
See?
That is a fact. That is indisputable.
So overall, a fun interaction, but geez, what a himbo.
Yeah, totally. Like this seals the deal in the Himbo Energy department. So the next check-in we have, or hangout rather, is with Trainer. I've come to love Trainer this playthrough. I always liked her as a character, but like I love her friendship with Mel Shep. I like just their dynamic. And the first part of
As
this,
being himbo solidarity.
right? Yeah. And like I love that in the first part of this, she missed you because I remember reading the message like that you're gonna get lunch. I was like, oh, cool. And then it's like go to the arcade to find Trainer. I was like, wait, why am I going to the arcade? Oh, because she's in the middle of a tournament and forgot about her lunch. And it's such a nerdy thing that I can relate to, like blowing someone off by accident because you're really into or focused on a thing. Like I've totally been there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
I'm so sorry I forgot to return your call. I have been knitting for the past 14 hours.
She's such a
Whoops.
dweeb. She's so, I like it too because like she's also hot.
Yes.
So like I don't know, I love seeing hot nerds, man. I don't know, I something about it because it's like it exists. I mean, just look in the gaming space, but like there's all those tropes of you have to be like the she's all that of like somehow only glasses makes you this big ugly person. It's like that's not how the real world works. And she's fine. Oh, but man, my favorite part. Oh my god, I love all of her dialogue with Edie. It makes me so happy when she's
during
talking.
the party.
Yeah, and she's like, no, not me having fantasies about your voice. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Let's move on. And
I'm gonna pull you back just a little bit, just to focus on the hangout itself, because we do have the separate party conversation.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, I don't want us to go too far all over in the map because then we'll get to the thing and be like, did we talk about that? I don't remember now. But the first part of hanging out with Trainer is she misses our lunch because she's caught up in this strategy game competition, which is basically like space chess. And the thing that I really like about this hangout is the homage it plays to like kung fu movies.
Yeah, like that.
But it's about a strategy game.
The glances they share and like exchange, like they're arch nemesis.
It's very, very good. Like it focuses in and does that like slice across Shepard's eyes, where Shepard goes, "Kick her ass."
With the same intensity that they do when they fight Reapers, but on a
Yes.
chessboard.
100%. It's very good. And dang, Trainer beat her so badly, she gave this woman a stroke.
Like
Kelly.
she just shocked and fell over.
That's how you do it. If your opponent isn't lying, writhing on the ground, did you really win? I'm just saying.
No, you didn't. But the second hangout with Trainer is where she comes over to bring you her trophy because she has nowhere else to put it. And she has this moment where she's like, a hot tub. Interesting. And barely waits for you to give consent.
Yeah,
to,
like,
for
She
her
does
to
not
graze.
care.
She's
Like,
just-
military regs do not matter. She's like, I see a hot tub. I'm getting in that damn hot tub. You can join me. You cannot. I don't really care.
What bothered me about this, however, was friends can hang out in a hot tub together.
yeah.
What? Don't be crazy. Insanity.
Like, why do you not hang out with her in the hot tub? Like, you can be pals and just, like, hang out. This doesn't have to be sexual.
Yeah. That bummed me out too. They play, and there's also a joke with male shepherd. I don't know if it's there with fem shep, where with my male shep, when you do go in to bring her the bath bomb, she goes, "Oh, and by the way, Shepherd, my eyes are up here." I'm like,
She says it's a femshep too,
Okay,
because she's
then-
a lesbian. So.
well, and so I guess that's more just Trainer being like, "Haha, I know you want to look. I know I'm hot," which that makes me feel better than I thought it was just a male shep, like, you know. But like, I love this moment because she so doesn't care about anything else other than this hot tub and relaxing. Also doesn't stop talking the entire time. She's like, "Oh my God." And then we find out, of course, that the bath bombs and other girly stuff, as it were, was from she's like, "Who's Kay Sanders? Who's that?"
Our stepmom.
Yeah, exactly.
I love. Oh my god! Did you guys read the books, the Mass Effect books?
I have not read
No,
them.
we haven't.
I remember. I highly recommend them, especially the first one, because that one goes into how Kaylee and Anderson got together, and it puts that whole apartment sequence in a completely different light. Like you can,
Oh, yeah.
you can kind of get the impression that he was probably going to propose to her at the end of the war. And it just makes it really sad.
Yeah.
Aw.
That is
The
sad.
White House just gross weeping over here. It's fine.
Oh, don't worry. My gross sweeping is coming up around item number 11. We'll get there.
Oh, yeah. We're almost, well, not almost there, but again, I really like Trainer as a character. I think she's funny. I think she's sassy. I think she's very realistically nerdy. I, again, didn't like that they turned her hanging out into the hot tub into kind of a sexual thing almost, because I don't know, it's a hot tub. You're both like wearing things. It's not like you're both getting into it naked. So there's no like physical intimacy really to just sit in a hot tub and hang out. This conversation could have easily have still happened with both of you in the hot tub instead of one of you standing awkwardly in the hallway.
With your back to the wall, yeah.
Like, I think that's weirder.
Yeah, that is pretty weird.
Agreed.
Let's move on to Javik.
Okay, so Javik's hangout is one of the things that I couldn't believe that MJ kept from me. So, Liana, for your background, we've done a couple of real play, TTRPG, Mass Effect campaigns where I play Blasto, and we make these Blasto movie campaigns. We've done a couple now. And I, of course, love Blasto. I love everything that I've seen with Blasto. I had no idea what this was. I just knew that I was going to meet Javik. And then when you meet Javik and he takes you to film a vid, and it turns out you're getting onto the set of a Blasto movie, and Blasto shows up, I messaged MJ on Discord in all caps, "How the hell did you keep this from me? I'm in a movie with Blasto." I lost my mind.
That's a true friend right there for you, so you're not
I am good at
spoiled.
secrets.
This whole moment, so we've talked a lot about this season about how Javik is not a good character. He's a hard character to like because he's an imperialist, he's an asshole. Like the shine of him just being a cool Prothean wore off on this playthrough. But I do appreciate moments like this where they kind of play up his grumpiness as a point for humor. And this was one of the more relatable moments with him in the whole series. And it's so goofy. The whole thing is just so goofy.
My favorite part of it is that every time Javik gets upset, he talks about how Protheans would have eaten whatever species he's getting angry at.
Same.
Solarian kidney is best served at room temperature.
It's beautiful.
The fire adds spice.
That's fan service, man. Like, I don't know. That like Blasto is the most ridiculous part, like one of the most ridiculous parts about Mass Effect lore. The fact that they paired one of the most ridiculous parts with the most straight-laced character is just because, I mean, let's be real. Like, that scene would have been cool with anybody, but like it wouldn't have been anywhere near as hilarious if it was anybody but Javik.
Yeah. No,
completely.
It's super good. Some notes I have is that Hanar portraying Blasto is the Jared Leto of Hanar because he's fully into his method acting and is a super terrible person as a result.
Not even a good actor.
No, terrible actor.
I do love when you take the Paragon trigger, Shepard goes, "This one will save the Citadel," like mocking the Hanar speech. I also love the Vorcha who doesn't remember when his cue is, like, "You die now." No, not now. That line comes like it's just...
The Vorcha in the entire Citadel DLC are just chef's kiss. So great. This particular Vorcha, every so often he's just like, "Prothean, no like you." I'm like, "You're right. You're absolutely right.
He was the true
No
star.
one can fault you." What notes do I have about this? I just wrote down like all the funny quotes because it was so good. This one has enkindled multiple females across the galaxy. I don't think that word means what you think it means. It's just so good. You found a Prothean in a refrigerator and defrosted him.
And like, I love how Shepard's just like, "Yes," in a refrigerator.
That is literally what happened. Thank you. Thank you for reading my memoir.
Oh man, I would take an entire game about Blasto. I'm not gonna lie.
Same. If I'm honest. I love the penis measuring contest for male Shep and Blasto. Like, one pulls out the gun and then Blasto pulls out his two guns, and it's just like, "I'm a Spectre 9000, blah 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 blah." I'm like, it's so good.
Plot twist. This is Mass Effect 4. This is the new Mass Effect. They just don't want us to know yet.
Right, exactly.
Mass Effect 4 is just Blasto. One of my favorite parts was Blasto saying that he doesn't share top billing, and then when he's like threatened with being fired, he goes, "This one has found his motivation." Money. Yes.
Yeah,
right.
Of course.
I get paid. Do we have any other notes about Chave?
No, I think it's just one of those moments that's just like it's what you were talking about earlier, Liana, right? Like fan service. Like this is clearly fan service, and it's delightful. I can't imagine why you wouldn't want to laugh at this, right? Like anyone who complains about the fan service, I think this is a brilliant nod to paying attention to what you've been giving the fans after all this time.
Especially with it being the final game. Like this is
Yeah.
the present. Like, look, we know we're about to make you sob your little heart out.
Here's a
present.
gift.
Yeah, exactly.
Next up is Garrus. We will have two different perspectives on this because you hung out with Garrus as a friend and I hung out with Garrus as a love interest.
Yes. So I'll do mine first since it's pretty short. So Garrus asks you to meet him at the bar in the casino, and you do. And as he walks over to you, first of all, Garrus is wearing not armor. He's wearing like a Turian suit and looks really sharp. Really, really hella sharp.
Yeah, girl.
But as he's coming over to you, there's a female Turian that catches him, or she sees him as he's walking to you, and Shepard notices, and you essentially get to wingman Garrus into a date, and it's really adorable because it mostly starts with Garrus stammering and not knowing how to talk to a person, and then Shepard does the beer movie kind of thing where he just grabs two beers off a random tray and slides them to Garrus to like smooth things out, and then Garrus hands her the beer and starts over, and it's really cute. And then you just kind of wander away while they spend the night.
You must be an alcoholic.
Right. But it's a really cute moment, and it's something we talked about Garrus a lot. Like, he is the most on the battlefield. There is no one more skilled and more confident. But the moment the dude is not holding a gun, he turns into the biggest dork in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
We love him for it.
We do.
So for me, this was a date. And the female Turian is still there. She catches sight of Garrus, and she notices that Garrus is there with you, and she gets very like huffy and like goes away to like dance on her own. And the whole point of this date, you meet at the bar and you act like you don't know each other. And this is apparently something that they've discussed prior to meeting up. This is their first date role play.
Oh, I love that.
It's very adorable, but I don't understand what's going on with Jennifer Hale's voice in this scene. Because she's like putting on an affectation to be not herself. And at one point, Garrus just like tries to lay it on like thick and smooth. And then he's like, and I'm out of banter. Why are we doing this? what I'm out of banter. Can we stop pretending that we don't know each other, because that makes this harder on me? But this is my favorite part. He then decides, oh, okay, you want us to make it up? We're gonna tango now. Because I've been taking lessons behind your back. I've been taking lessons in a human dance that I have no reason to know. So I can impress you, my human girlfriend.
He's such a dweeb. I love it. He's so sweet. Like even in the first game or the second game, when he's like, he talks about, like, basically admits to watching porn to figure out how it works. It's like, it's not something you usually lead with, but I'll take that wine now. Thank you. No, I like
that you put thought into it.
I liked both, honestly. Like, again, like, I've ran it both ways. I don't know. I feel a little, I will say on those run-throughs, I make sure that I don't date Tali or Garrus. I kind of get a little, like, I don't know, protective of my bro, because I'm like, this bitch is like, I am an up. He's Tally's, ho. Like, get him back off. What are you doing? He's got somebody. Nobody cares about what you want. Lady, go get a beer and buzz off. But, like, yeah, how just nerdy and just you hit the nail on the head. He's on the battlefield. He's got the witty one-liners. He's got the quip at the drop of a hat. He's got the one shot that can knock a man on his ass. But you put him in front of a love interest, and he's just a stammering little 5-year-old. And I think it's great.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would love to see him and Ryder from Andromeda.
Oh yeah,
try to flirt, because that's two hot messes together.
Matt doesn't know anything about Ryder yet, so that's going to be fun for him to discover.
Oh man.
Do we feel ready to move on to Tally?
Yes. So I love this moment with Tali because it reminds me of some of my closest femme presenting friends, because she comes over and she's talking about how she has no plans and then quotes this really important romantic movie, and then Shepard looks at her blankly and she's realizes Shepard's never seen this movie. How could you never seen this movie? That's what we're doing tonight. And you watch this movie with her, and it's so clear Shepard is uncomfortable, mostly because like it's just not Shepard's kind of movie, but Shepard's still trying to enjoy it and making conversation and being present regardless. And it's just a really sweet friend moment, because I've done this with friends. Like they've been that way to me. Like, you haven't seen this movie? Oh, we have to watch it. Let's watch it right now. It's just,
yeah, this is the core of a lot of friendships, is sharing the media that we love with the people that we love, because we're saying this is a window into my soul. And for our relationship to grow, you kind of need to experience it, because it'll help you know me better. And we do the same in reciprocation. Like, that's how Matt and I grew closer, especially through Mass Effect. Like, Mass Effect was the window into Matt's soul, and it became something that we shared very deeply. And I had a similar experience with my spouse, with Tamara Pierce. I showed it to him. I was like, this is really important to me and in getting to know me. And he fell in love with it as much as I did.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, with me and my spouse, it was Doctor Who, it was musical theater, it was a whole bunch of different things. But like, even with friends, it's I mean, look, the three of us are friends on a podcast talking about our favorite game series right now. Like,
Yeah.
Liana and I started as internet friends that we've been lucky enough to meet in person, and we'll hopefully get to hang out in person again. But like, our entire friendship is based around Mass Effect and knowing that you were such a big nerd for it. And I think it's so powerful for a game to recognize that kind of friendship building, right? That you can build friendships through the media you love.
Agreed. I don't know. I just kind of think too, like in the first game, I really like the fact that in the first game she's this like naive, wide-eyed, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm scared. And then in 2, she's starting to learn her footing, but still very like, there's some foreshadowing of, I don't think I'll ever be an admiral. Oh my God, what am I doing here? I'm going to be dealing with all this crap. And then in 3, you really see her come into her own, but she's also kind of learning the burden of command, the burden of being a leader, of it's not you got the power, it's you got the responsibility too. And I don't know, this was that moment of seeing her kind of shed all of that weight. I think that's too why, before I came over to Game Informer, I was director of editorial at a previous website. And when you run, you run in a department that has got so many different writers, so many different personalities, people clashing, people not liking each other, people being mad because they're mad, and you have to be objective, but you're also taking all of their stress and you're putting it on yourself. So their stress is your stress, but until they get their shit together, you can't get your shit together because it's not your stress to begin with. And it's funny because I used to write a lot about Mass Effect and a lot about mods and a lot about Dragon Age, and people always ask like, oh my God, like, why do you write so much crap? Like, why do you write so much about these franchises that are years and years old? It was like, because this is my way of getting back in touch with myself. This is how I can't talk to you as my writer during business hours as a friend in a way that I would like to. But I know you got to edit this. So this is my way of kind of sharing what means a lot to me with you without kind of blurring those boundaries a little bit. And I kind of felt that relationship with the Tali and Shepard was, especially if you don't romance them, it's that it's like, look, I'm not commander here. You're not powerful, badass Quarian. We're two people hanging out, forgetting the Reapers, forgetting command, forgetting responsibility. Show me what you like. Be as nerdy as you want. I'm not going to judge you. And I think that's special, especially in a military setting game, because there's a lot of death and a lot of destruction and a lot of loss. And those tiny little moments, those pockets in time really can completely save you. And I feel like she needed that, especially having that memory. Like, I always do the Citadel DLC right before the final push. And
yeah, that's what we've done. Yeah.
Right. And I feel like, it's nice to think that like their last memories with Shepard were meaningful and personal, not just hanging out in the mess hall.
Yeah.
I like it.
I agree. That is the weight of all of these. Do we want to move on to Steve?
Yeah. So Steve is another one that comes in 2 parts. The first part is just with Steve, and the second part is with Steve and Vega, because of course it is. And I love that in this first part, like, Steve talking about love languages, right? Like Steve clearly cares for you, relationship or not, and that he takes you up in the Kodiak and flies you around the Citadel without the inertial dampeners on, talking about why he loves being a pilot. Like, this is another moment where someone who cares about Shepard is sharing an experience with Shepard through the lens that they are most comfortable with. And I love seeing that. It's so cool.
Agreed.
You said exactly how I felt about it. There's also a moment where Shepard can say to Steve, like, are you sure you're happy just being a shuttle pilot? I mean, you love flying so much. And Steve just goes, I'm your shuttle pilot. And I'm just like, oh, that friendship. It's so good. Because Steve will do anything as long as it means staying on Shepard's team. And I'm just like, I love you. I love you and our friendship.
Says that too, as if being his shuttle pilot isn't the most chaotic fucking thing in the world.
Right?
Like, you're just a shuttle pilot.
Like, I just took you to meet the origins of the Reapers and made you crash land against a murderous AI bot. Like, no big, it's fine. Just a boring old shuttle pilot.
Oh, I love it. I don't really have a lot to say about this scene. It's very short. I do want to say it's probably really dangerous to drive the Kodiak around on the strip.
Yep, and yet it was awesome to watch.
Like, kind of illegal, I would imagine.
Yes.
Like, I feel like you guys landed again, and there was a CSEC officer being like, you know I have to write you a ticket, right? Like, just because you're Shepard doesn't mean that you can just leave now.
I do love the second part of this, how, because Steve's relationship is also defined by Vega. They are clearly best friends, and like a lot of what they do together. And so the fact that the second part of Steve's coming over and in being invited to the apartment has to do with Vega and both of them coming over to watch what I think is a basketball game. It's a little unclear.
It's called Biotic Ball.
Ball, right.
Or Biotic Ball. It's a biotic sport. A biotic space sport.
But I
Call
love
it basketball for simplicity.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I always imagined it more like volleyball.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Like, that is where my brain went, but I don't really know a lot about sports.
But
that is what I imagined it being.
I love that they come over and, like, you know, they're bickering the minute they walk in the door.
Because they're married. And, like, you know, we're talking, and it just feels like a casual kind of bro-y conversation. And I appreciate it. I see a familiarity in this as well. And like they talk to Shepard and like they're talking about the two teams and why they love them. I love that Steve calls out Vega that the reason he likes the Asari team is because it's Asari, not just because they're skilled, but also because they're beautiful. And he's like, that's not the only reason. And then it's just a contributing factor.
Right. And then you get to pick a winner, essentially. It seems like whichever one you pick will win the game, and there's conversation based on it. So which team did you pick, MJ?
Sorcerers.
I picked the Sorcerers as well.
You gotta pick the Sorcerers.
Gotta pick.
Vote for the home team.
Gotta root for the home team.
I'm actually reading what Biotic Ball is described as. And it's a galactic sport involving teams of biotics who attempt to score by maneuvering a ball into a basket. So it is basketball.
Okay. There you go.
But through biotics.
Biotics.
I know nothing about sports.
This is just a fun kind of like, you know, just chill moment. Like I love how much of this DLC depicts normal things, right? Finger quotes, normal things, like average things. Because we see Shepard do average, everyday things so little that it's just so satisfying when we get to see Shepard do them.
Yeah. I also really like that throughout the Citadel DLC, Vega used way more Spanish.
Yes.
Which felt like more natural for his character as a Hispanic character.
Yeah. Same. I
like of course, you would use Spanish regularly.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he didn't in the main game as much, but it's cool to see him. I mean, maybe also it's because he feels more comfortable and more relaxed, so he's not trying to project a certain way, which might.
You know what's kind of interesting about that though is the fact that technically he could have been speaking Spanish the whole time because you have the.
That's true. Yeah.
You have the.
You have the translator.
Yeah, it's like they talk about it in Mass Effect 1 is no matter what. That's why you can understand anybody of any species because it automatically translates. So I wonder why they did that. I wonder if it was like they made a rule of like, okay, guys, no business, turn the translators off or something. I don't know. Like, is there like a reason why that suddenly came out? 'Cause that never made sense to me.
I wonder if there's a way to like be intentional about language. Like
Maybe.
if you want to be understood, or I don't know, because the words that he was saying were not words that there's no like straight translation for. There are straight translations for them.
It's interesting.
Plot thickens. BioWare. What the hell
We
happened?
demand answers.
The plot hole spreads.
Shall we move on to Jack?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love that Jack. I texted MJ about this also. I'm like, I get to fight with Jack. I love that Jack is your introduction essentially to Armex, the Armex arena, and that she's like, yeah, come shoot stuff with me. And I also love the tiny detail, like, of course you're fighting Cerberus in the Armex arena, because of course it's Cerberus who she hates.
Of course.
And like, I just love that they get to have this like heart to heart while kicking butt, because that's just very much Jack's brand. And we get to see more vulnerability from Jack, which we've seen a bunch of in this game. But like, I like how during the combat, when you're talking, she talks about how she needs a break from the kids, but they're doing really well. And you're like, oh yeah, you
Like a mom on ladies' night.
right. And it's like you can comment and just be like, oh, you miss those kids, don't you? And you're like, she's like, shut up. Like, she just doesn't have a response. It's so adorable.
She's tried so hard to stay a badass. I think her character arc growth is like one of my favorites, and seeing that. I'm so excited about this freaking Legendary Edition, y'all, because there's a side quest in the freaking arena that mine was always bugged, no matter how many updates came up, so I was never able to complete it, and that was the only reason why I never 100%ed the freaking trilogy is because of that stupid arena.
Armax.
Fucking hell.
It's ironic that the reason you couldn't finish it was because it was bugged.
Right? Right? The irony. I was so mad. I was like, that little fucking side quest. This is why I can't get 100%. Cool. Yeah, no, I liked it. I just like her. I like her redesign. I like her character redesign in that. I like her, later in the party, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, I think that it was a good way, because I feel like we all have our instances where we'll feel better, more comfortable if we're in a certain setting.
Yeah.
Like for me, I will be the first to admit I'm a chicken shit. Unless you put me in front of 100 people, I am a nervous wreck talking to people. But for some reason, if you put me in front of 100 people, I'm like, let's go, because I can like switch in my brain, like, okay, this is work. Work Liana is different than personal Liana, and I feel like that's hers. Like, I know combat, I know fighting for my life, so let's do this, and I can be more open with you because this is an area where I feel invincible in. I feel like nothing could hurt me in this, and I don't know. It was perfect. They stayed true to her character. I think that could be said with all of these, though, is all of them stay true to their character, and I feel like that's really important, especially going back to the theme that this is a fan service DLC, and if they didn't, that this DLC was created reading Reddit threads and Twitter threads. Like, this DLC was people making fun of the calibrations. This DLC was making fun of By the Goddess. This DLC was making fun of Grunt being a freaking tank baby. And what did they do? They had him sobbing in a shower because he doesn't know how to handle his liquor. Like, this is it's great. And, especially with Jack, because she's not in the third game like some of the other squad mates. She's just touch and go. You have those little rendezvous and when you go rescue the kids and stuff. But to have her, and to have her with all the trust issues she had in the second game, and even trust issues you still kind of see a little bit in the third game, to have her be able to come back, hang out with Shepard like nothing's changed, even though realistic months and months have gone by. I think that's pretty awesome. That's a lot of character growth that I appreciated.
It is. Aside from hanging out at the Armax arena, Jack also does visit you at home with her new pet Varen,
who is adorable.
I love him. His name is Izo, and Jack loves him. He was abandoned, so obviously he's an analog for Jack and her younger self. So clearly she was going to become attached to him immediately. I just love that he wants to play fetch with you. He's so good.
And you're trying to play fetch with a frying pan, and it's also trying to protect yourself from his biotics. It's just, And then like he
Biotic Baron.
the biotic Baron knocks you on your ass, and then you kind of like stand up as Jack's turning around. And it's like, everything okay? And you're like, oh yeah, cool, we're great, we're all fine
We're
here.
great. This is all good. It was
This
very
is
cute.
fine.
Oh man, so good. All right, so for the next one, we have Ashley and Caden. These are going to be different on multiple levels because we're not going to have a perspective on the non-romantic Caden interaction.
Well, I'm sure Liana has a perspective.
Oh, that's true. Liana can fill in the non-relationship hangout with Caden. But MJ's going to talk about hanging out with Ashley, and then I'll talk about my date with Caden.
Mm. So I was really disappointed in the hangout with Ashley. It set up an interesting time, but it wound up just lacking, like everything with Ashley, unfortunately. You meet Ashley at the bar, you're going shot for shot, and you're chatting and, like sassing each other. And it doesn't really get that far before you're interrupted by a Batarian and a Vorcha who start a bar fight with you. And you don't even get to witness the bar fight. It fades to black, and when it comes back, the people who attacked you are on the floor, and then Ashley just walks away. It's really disappointing. You could have done so much with this. You could have actually shown the bar fight. You could have shown them getting kicked out of the bar. You could have shown them going to another bar. It could have ended with karaoke. This could have been a whole adventure that you go on with your, Alliance soldier best friend, and it just wasn't.
Yeah.
Much like her entire character, it was disappointing.
Yeah.
Yes, completely. They
Sorry for
just
the Ashley lovers.
I feel like there was potential and they just let it fall flat. And it's upsetting because the thing that I love about Ashley is her sisterhood. I talked about it in 1, and every time I've seen her since, that's been missing. And this is the reason why I saved her on Vermeer, and you can't even bring it back.
Yeah, I feel like I think both of them are a disservice, and if you guys have time, I'm more than happy to go into it. But I feel like Ashley, out of the two of them, had the most disservice because obviously she's super xenophobic in the first game, but that's part of her arc. I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize is, yeah, it's really uncomfortable. The line where she's like, I can't tell the animals or the aliens from the animals is super fucking uncomfortable. However, we don't all come out of the womb knowing right from wrong. Sometimes we have really shitty upbringings, and look at what happened with her family. Her entire family was disgraced because of a Turian war. Okay, whatever. But the thing is she doesn't stay that way. She, her and Rex become really close, almost like she almost sees him in a father figure. And there was so, like you said, so much potential just handed on a silver platter. And they just did nothing with it. It's like, we gave her a makeover and perky tits, so that's enough. And at least Caden, his arc changed. For me, I used to hate Caden with a passion. I thought he was the most mayonnaise character. I was happy to blow him up every time. And then I kept seeing people freak out over him. Like, oh my God, I love him so much. And when I usually see that much fanfare over something, I'm like, okay, what do I need to shift in my perspective? Because clearly I'm not looking at him in a certain way for people to have this strong of a reaction to fucking mayonnaise. And it was, if we have the time, there was 2 things that really changed it. One thing was a friend was like, no, romance him as male shepherd. There's a change in it that it feels right. It feels like they're both almost coming home. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I tried it. But what really changed it for me was, and to do with the Citadel DLC and his hangout, is I actually read a fan fiction of a psychiatrist. Her son is gay, and her son's favorite game was Mass Effect. So she wrote this fan fiction in tribute to him. And as a psychologist, she's used to paying attention to behaviors, and she wrote the game through the game sequence she wrote the fucking game. I was shocked that she didn't actually work at BioWare, but she wrote it through a lens that he's on the spectrum, and my husband's on the spectrum. And so I was like, oh, and she was showing those moments in the Citadel DLC in the party when he's kind of doing the side to side on the balcony, showing how that's a pretty typical, autistic behavior for somebody that's kind of feeling a little bit disconnected. And then oh my God, mom was right. I should have brought a sweater when on Novaria comment, and like all of these weird behaviors that people attributed to him just being a weirdo. It's like, no, that's him processing the world around him. And it made me love him. But the thing that BioWare did really dirty for both of these characters is, one, they gave him jack shit in the first game. Then they weren't in the second game. So unlike Garrus, where you are evolving with these characters, they just kind of are in the background. But in the third game, both characters see a lot of growth. Caden arguably more than Ashley, but you don't even get to see it unless you romance them. So they are locking entire character growth behind a romance. And with that other many romance options, including romance options carrying over to, why would they want to start a new one? You know what I mean? And like, I feel like that was such a dirty way to do those characters, especially now looking at the lens of him being autistic. Because like, holy crap, man. Like that puts so much of his behavior, especially in the Citadel DLC, and him being on the Citadel and making the food and being like, no, and going back to the topic of I'm sharing a little piece of me, like this is Canadian food, this is Canadian grub. We couldn't get this when we went on our lunch date, but I'm giving it to you now. I don't know. That was my rant. that was my Mass Effect tirade.
No, thank you for sharing. We always want to hear that.
I think that like carries right into Matt talking about his experience with Caden like on a date, because I feel comfortable saying that Matt and I like agree with your perspective of how dirty they did both of these characters.
Yep.
And I know that Matt has grown into his love for Caden over the years.
So yeah, with it working out the way it did, where MJ was with Ashley and me with Caden was fortuitous, but also because I made an active decision on my own in isolation to pursue Caden, to just get to know him better, I made a lot of the discoveries that you mentioned, Liana, and like also found myself caring about him in a real way and in a romantic way. And so when it got to 3, even though I romanced Jack in 2, it felt natural to gravitate back towards Caden. And this date scene is just kind of the perfect encapsulation of why Caden and Shepard grow so close. I feel like it could have been done better, but I still feel like it's really sweet. It's really romantic. Caden offers to cook for you. Like you say that you're going out and Caden's like, no, we're going to stay and I'm going to cook for you. And then Shepard's like nitpicking his cooking and being like, well, you're going to burn the onions, and like is standing close to him. And then, it ends with them kind of cuddling on the couch and talking. And it's just really, we call Caden our favorite marshmallow here. And it's true. Like, I just love that this soft character continues to allow to be a biotic badass and still be so soft and caring, and that his queerness and his softness exist at the same time, but aren't the cause of each other, right? Like he's not soft because he's queer. He's soft because that's his personality. He also happens to be bisexual. And that's, I think, what's really wonderful about this character is that he has that kind of dynamicness that Ashley doesn't, And now hearing what you've said, MJ, about the hangout, like they really did Ashley much dirtier than Caden, because like I know a particular previous guest of this show, Ken Shepard, who loves Caden and loves the Caden romance and feels that it's more complete than Ashley's. Kenneth? Yes. The Kenneth Shepard.
My arch nemesis.
Our arch nemesis, yeah. But like when he came on talking about Caden, like I really see it now, especially having romanced him, why he loves that character so much. As someone who is bisexual and has liked a lot of these characters, I see why there's a devoted fandom to Caden, because how his relationship develops is so beautifully done that I think it's important to get to see, and I'm really glad that I explored it because it's just really genuinely amazing.
We stand a toasted marshmallow.
Yes.
I still have my mug, by the way. I love that mug.
I'm so glad.
That's one thing too that kind of made me sad when people punished him for his softness, because when you go into what he went through at Brain Camp, and then you learn about through the codex of, it's very heavily implied that he went into like a drunken stupor after that. Like he was very lost, picked fights, lost himself, did anything he could to numb himself. And I don't know, I feel like alcoholism is something that a lot of people can relate to, obviously. And it can change people, and it can make you hard. It can make you resentful. And he was stronger than that resentment, and he was able to come out the other side being compassionate, caring, true to his morals. He knows who he is. He knows what he feels is right and wrong, and that's rare. And I don't know, man. He's after that last romance, after reading that fan fiction, he's him and Garrus are my top 2 romances for sure. Like, he's magical, and I'm just so sad because like 90% of people will never experience that magic.
Yep. So we were joking about weeping openly earlier. The next part we're going to talk about is the Thane Memorial. Kolyat reaches out and says that he's not really sure of all the customs, but he knows of memorial services and would love Shepard to help him make something like that happen. And so you do. And so a lot of the party members, especially folks who were prominent in Mass Effect 2, show up to the apartment along with Kolyat, and Shepard leads a short memorial service. And it's just incredibly touching and beautiful. I have romanced Thane in the past as FemShep. I will continue to yell that Thane should be a romance for both Sheps, not just one, because he treats you the same no matter what gender you are. But that's neither here nor there. But I can't even imagine going through this DLC on a playthrough where I romanced him. Must be brutal. But even
Yeah, I wrote that down.
Yeah, but even in a friendship capacity, like, this is just, it's so touching and so sad and so bittersweet. But like, I love that not only does Shepard say something, but that a ton of the different, party members say something, and then even Kolyat says something. And also, like, for me, I've shouted at the rooftops how Mark Meer came into this character and like grew with this character. You can hear Mark Meer choking on his words in his performance here, and I'm sure Jennifer Hill was very similar. And that kind of acting is just so awesome and pulls you into the moment so well. This was just a really beautifully done moment. And then you get some videos from Thane that you never received that you get to watch that take place before he ended up at Huerta Memorial. And it's a beautiful and touching tribute to this character. I really love it.
Yeah, this was kind of difficult to watch as someone who has lost their father. Thane is so loved, and you can tell by the way that people talk about him. Tally remembers his confidence. Garrus refers to him as a partner. Samara says something about him as well, and Edie talks about how he was serious all the time and she can never get a laugh out of him. And when Kolyat talks, he has to reconcile his complicated feelings about his father because he didn't have that much time to foster a positive relationship, but he managed to do it. And like, in the videos we get from Thane, we find out that he and Kolyat visited Earth, and they went to New Mexico and they saw a beautiful sunset, which is a callback to Kolyat's mother, Erica. And it's just a beautiful service, and everyone who's there is feeling the loss, and you can see that they're all mourning as much as we, the players, are.
Yeah, I agree. It's special. They did something really special with this. I think this scene impacted a lot of people for what you said. I am in a very different position than you with, my father passed away. For me, it was one of the happiest days of my life.
I mean, same too, but like, it's complicated.
Right. As fathers often are.
Yeah.
I will say though, knowing the day this podcast is recorded, just because I don't know when it airs, knowing that I was coming up on this podcast, it made me, obviously rethink the Citadel DLC and what I liked most about it. I actually wrote up on Game Informer a piece of cult.
I saw that post today.
Yeah. How Thane has helped me come to terms with my MS, because I've had days where I was in a wheelchair, I couldn't walk. There are many days, many days where I cannot walk. Matt, you asked Morgan at PAX. There were many times where I was like screaming on the bed because I was like, I can't get up.
Oh,
like,
no.
just being in so much pain. And when I was active duty, I was told oh, it's really bad, you're really degenerative, like, and my dad died from MS, and despite it not being hereditary, his mom passed away from MS. So it was just kind of always in the back of my mind, and kind of why I'm so annoyingly gung-ho about goals is because I'm like, fuck, dude, I might be dead. I really don't think I'm going to be alive. I would be shocked, I say, if I'm alive in 5 years. I would be very shocked. And you can quote me on that if we're going to go have a beer if I'm still here in 5 years. But I feel it in my bones that I'm not going to be. And playing through this remaster and seeing all the changes made me see his entire story arc in a completely different light regardless. But like not getting too much in your head, of finding that peace and knowing that you can do as much good as you can while you can. And yeah, it meant a lot to me. And you know, not to bring the mood down, but like, I don't know, I can't, every time I do that sequence with the memorial, and I know it's selfish and I know it's narcissistic, but I just can't help to think like, man, nobody's gonna be at mine like that. Like,
That's not
my
true.
husband, you know, maybe. And like, it's sad, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, but I'm not going to be here to see it. So that's kind of okay. And like, I don't know, it just makes you kind of think. It makes you confront your mortality a little bit. So, you know, so for some people that could be 80 years from now. For other people, it could be tomorrow. And it just, I don't know, it really, every time I play through that, my mental headspace is a little weird after, because it's just like, you can't help but to think, like,
Yeah.
Picture your own picture in that picture frame. And you know, it's so funny too, because Chu can always tell when I've played this DLC, because I always bring up the kid talk, because I don't want kids. So the only time I ever bring up possible kids is after this, like, somebody's got to remember me. Like, he's like, okay, go play something else, go play Destiny or something. And yeah, it's one of the most impactful moments in the entire franchise, I think, because it's real. And even though he's an alien race that will never be, like, everybody can relate to either a fear of death or losing someone, and it can be cathartic and gut-wrenching at the same time.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Would you like to pick the mood back up?
Yes. Shall we shall we
Matt's
move?
like, please, for the love of God.
No, well, first of all, if you are not long for this world and I'm invited to your funeral, I'll throw a fucking party because you're awesome.
Yes.
So I'm just
Please
saying.
do.
I'm just saying.
Let's
People
alien.
don't really send invitations to funerals.
No, it's very true.
I'll let you know.
A Facebook invite, like, it's fine. Do a Twitter Spaces.
Exactly. So with Grunt, we get Stephen Bloom in peak performance, my favorite voice actor. Apparently, a CSEC officer has contacted you because a Krogan has claimed that you will help them and is screaming for you. And of course, it is our poor, lost young lizard son who has gotten himself into a mess.
Say, during this whole story that he tells you, he's like, yeah, it's my birthday. And I, like a dumbass, believed him for half a second. I was like, oh, it's your birthday.
And he's like, no, I'm Tank Bread Shepherd. And you're like, oh, God. Hook, line, and sinker.
I don't know what it is about that phrase of "it's my birthday" that just like completely shuts off my like any sense of logic. I'm just like, well, if it's your birthday.
Well, that makes sense.
I just love that this whole scene is like, anyone who listens to the podcast knows Grunt is my favorite character. He is my dear lizard son. I love him. This is such a perfect, oh no, my son's in trouble, I have to go get him out of trouble moment. And like, I love that also, not only do we get Grunt telling the story of what happened, but we get cutaway flashbacks a la almost Family Guy of like the events happening as he's telling the story. Like, my favorite scene in the whole story is when he's talking about trying to escape the hospital. And we just see the Solarian doctor in the window, and then you just hear, "Ah!" as he falls past the window. It's like a cartoon. It's so good.
They tried to lower me through the window. Did it work? Sort of.
So good.
It's also peak, like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
Oh my God, yes. That is so freaking funny. I can't, I'm with you. He's like a blessing. Grant is too pure for this world, even though he wants to murder everything. But like, you can, because you're cute. And like, I can relate. I have done some weird shit for food, but I've driven like 12 hours before for a good burger if I was craving it hard enough. So like, I would do some shit for some noodles if they were good noodles.
Yeah.
Like, especially after living off of military ration, because he grew up in the military.
Yeah.
Like, he literally came out of the tank, went right into the Collector War, right into the Reaper War, and then joined a spec team. So, like, he's never probably had good, just delicious grub. So, like, noodles, I bet those noodles tasted like a godsend. That's just my theory.
The way that I like to play this is like leaning into the "I'm your mom" like meme, and just doing the like apologize to the nice man.
Yeah, same. I did the same thing. The very paragon of like, and then I love that Grunt is like, I'm sorry for setting your car on fire and all the trouble I caused. It's just like, it's perfect.
That final moment where Shepard's just like, how were those noodles?
I love that, and I love that Stephen Bloom, and he's done this on many of the cast like reunions and stuff like that. That grunt laugh, the heh heh heh, like I love it.
I love it.
So good.
And then Shepard also like tells Grunt that they love him.
Yeah.
It's very sweet. It's a very good. My son's in trouble, and I must go rescue him.
Yep. To the rescue.
Like, I love you, but I don't like you right now. But I still love you because you're my child. But, like, also get out of my face.
Pretty much.
Do we want to talk about Jacob?
Yes. So Jacob, you meet at the arcade, and he apparently is helping out with some of the young soldiers or young.
He's babysitting.
He's essentially babysitting. Some of them look like the folks from Grissom Academy. I'm not sure if it's the same ones, but it might be. But while you're chatting, Jacob challenges you to a Rock'em Sock'em Android game, and there's a lot of smack talk. It's really fun because Jacob's another character who does get short shrifted a lot in this series, but this is a genuine human moment that's fun. You get to see him brag a little, you get to see him like mess around and joke around, and I really like that they let his personality shine here. I, for the record, did not win the boxing game. I died.
Oh, I did.
I was not good at it at all. I got my butt kicked. But then at the end,
practiced all the games before I did this. I spent time in the arcade before I did Jacob's Hangout, so maybe that's where I had the advantage. But I kicked his ass, and then I engaged in the trash talk because you know what? You started it.
Yeah, I lost, and then he shook my hand and he's like, thanks, Shepard. You probably let me win anyway. I was like, yeah, that's right. I did.
Yeah,
no,
sure.
Uh-huh.
That's what we're going to say.
Oh, man.
Yeah, when I kicked his ass, he was like, you couldn't just let me win just once? Just once? No.
His ass. I wait
I
for
do
you.
too.
I wait Paladin. No, man. The Shepard, Garrus, the shoot off. I win, dude. I'm a Spectre for a reason. Screw you, pal. Jacob, screw you, pal. I'm about to wipe the floor with you and embarrass you in front of all your kids. You can screw off. Like, I don't know, man. Like,
No, same with Jacob at least. Especially since, like, he starts off with trash talking you. And personally, I don't get competitive until someone makes it a competition. Like, I'm fine just like, this is for fun. But then once someone else is like, I'm going to crush you, I'm just like, okay, we'll see.
especially if you romance them and the cheating bastard knocks
Yeah.
up. You little shit.
Crush him under your heel.
You little shit.
So I really love the beauty of this moment. We've talked about this a little bit, but I love that we get to really see Shepard and Liara's friendship in the third game develop if they're not romantically involved in a very pure and kind way. And I love that this is a very short, contained moment. It's not a very long section. It's just you leave your bedroom and hear downstairs someone's playing the piano, and it's Liara playing the piano. And you ask her about the song. She talks about how she learned it on a dig when they were trapped and they couldn't do anything. And then, you talk about her past a little bit, and then ends the conversation with you asking her to teach you the song. It's just a very sweet, lovely moment. I do like that when you walk up behind her, she doesn't see you and you don't say anything. And then Cliff just goes, "Hi, Commander Shepard." And you're like, damn it, Cliff. I was trying to enjoy the moment, not make it weird.
What I really like about this scene is every scene that we engage features a different kind of friendship, right? So this kind of friendship is a friendship of knowledge and learning and sharing what we learn with each other. And what I like about it is Liara learned how to play this song from someone else, and she then passes it along to Shepard. And it made me think about the things that I learned from my friends and the things that I do now and the things that I know because of them. Like, it was a friend who taught me how to use a loom. It was a friend who taught me how to crochet. You know, my mom taught herself how to knit so she could teach me how to knit. Like, we learned things from the people in our lives and the people that we love. And it made me start thinking about the things that I learned from the people in my life.
I think that's beautiful. Y'all are gonna hate me. I can't stand that blueberry. I've tried. I've romanced her 4 times, and every time, unlike Caden, every time it makes me dislike her just a little bit less. Not that I don't. Okay, let me rephrase that. I don't not like her. I'm meh.
You're indifferent.
Like, it's just like I was like trying. The last time I romanced her, I just remember like the only time I've ever done that was just skipping through the dialogue because I was like, I can't listen to you anymore. You could this, like she to me is like personified. This could have been an email. Like, I don't know what it is about her that just
amazing.
bothers me.
Best.
So when like I came down and I heard the piano, my first instinct was like, what the fuck are you doing in my house? Like,
because she's just there. She didn't like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? No, I don't want to. I got a radio, man. Like, I got TVs all over this house. If I want to listen to music, I don't know. I don't know why. You know, like I try to put myself in a different headspace. So like, why do people love this character? And I don't know if it's just how pushy they are with her romance in the first game that just is me rebelling against that of like, don't tell me who to romance. Fuck you. Now I'm gonna hate her or what? But like, I really thought after 30 plus playthroughs that like eventually
You'd at least
I'd
like
warm
her
up
as a
to
friend.
I just like her as a friend, as a romance option, as a squad mate. Girl, you're weak. Your bloodline is weak. Your family's weak. Your cows are weak. Everything about you is just weak. And I don't like her. I don't hate her, but I don't like her. I feel like she. I don't know.
It's okay.
I don't know, man.
It's legit.
It's okay to not like her.
Yeah.
Like, we're not gonna come for you.
I want to like her because
Like-
I want to like her because I don't have a good reason for not liking her. Like, I don't know. I don't understand it. Like, it's like a visceral thing, and like her just presence when she's having that tete-a-tete with Vega. I just want to be like, yeah, Vega, kick her ass. Like, show her what those muscles could do, boom, kick her ass. And I don't know, man. One of these days, I feel like it's gonna be like the Caden thing, where it's gonna be just this magical epiphany, where all of a sudden I love it. But today is not that day, fam.
My thing with Liara is that when you meet her in game 1, even though she's 106 years old, she is an 18-year-old, like mentally, basically, and like maturity-wise. And you're supposed to be romancing her as someone that's like 10 years older than her in terms of like maturity level. And again, she is 106, so she is older than you, but she acts like such a teenager and like such a like I'm in college still type of person, and you're an adult. And just that imbalance of power just got to me, especially in the Reignite playthrough. And I was like, ooh, no. I personally am 30 and this feels bad and I don't like it. And that's why I like pushed her away as a romance option. But I don't know, as a person who cares about the pursuit of knowledge, I think I can relate to her. And I think that's why I still like enjoy her as a character and like keep her around. And also I plan to one day write a fan fiction where she meets Indiana Jones. So there's that.
I'm down. Maybe that'll make me like her. Maybe that's the crossover my brain needs. We'll see.
Let us talk about Samara. We talked about this in the Mass Effect 2 playthrough, but I really like Samara as a character. I like that she's not, even though she is a character who carries herself very differently from Liara, she's not an object. She's very much a weapon, as it were. And like, I feel like a lot of her conversations with Shepard revolve around peace and inner peace and understanding. And even though she is a Justicar and often has to resort to violence, Her conversations with Shepard are rarely about that, and that this visit is more of that meditative discussion about where they are and where they're going. Shepard brings up a magazine about Justicars and one of the wild articles they wrote about her, and she shares some stories. Like,
So my experience with Samara was different.
really?
My hangout with Samara was people watching and like making up stories of people on the street.
That's awesome that it's different per character. I love that.
I mean, I think there were two different ways this hangout could have gone, and I
Yeah.
think we just each chose the different way.
Yeah.
Because I think you could say to her, like, let's do something fun, or you could say
Oh,
to her,
yeah.
like, let's just sit down and chat.
Yeah.
And I said, let's do something fun. And she was like, okay, let's go people watching. And then she would like point someone out and be like, tell me what you think about him. And you would say what you see, and then she would fill it in. And you'd be like, how did you know that? And she'd be like, I didn't. I fucking made it up.
That's amazing.
And I really liked the version that I wound up with because it's a chance for her to be something other than a Justicar. Like, she's a storyteller.
Yeah.
She thinks about people, and she's imaginative and creative, and I think that's a side of the Asari that they talk about in a very highbrow way, but we don't ever actually see applied.
Yeah.
And I think this is a very accessible application of that side of the Asari.
Yeah, totally. And like what I like about the decision I made to continue to share stories is that once the conversation's over, you both sit on the couch and Shepard's like, I imagine you have to get going. And Samara goes, no, I think I'd like to sit here, even if there's nothing else left to say, for just a little while longer. Like finding her peace in this moment and wanting to just spend time with someone, even if it's not them talking, if it's just them being. And like I can think of so many friends that I've hung out with where the two of us are in the same room, not speaking a word, but we're still at peace, hanging out and having fun, playing two different games or like reading a book and watching a movie. And I love that this depicts
Literally my
that.
favorite friendship.
Right?
Yes,
Like,
agree.
like that you can depict friendship as just being comfortable in a space together. Like the true comfort of just existing together, you know? I love that.
I that's how I knew because I don't date at all. I hate dating. I hate people. I think I can't stand to be around people for too long. I never had roommates or anything, but I knew I was like, okay, I could date who is now my husband, so clearly something worked. But I remember the very first day, I was like, "What's up, fucker?" That was like the first date that we had, and he was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "We're gonna go have a beer and we're gonna watch the fight." Like, it was kind of my way of like, I'm clearly not interested. I was wearing like basketball shorts and flip flops, and I remember we were there and like we were talking and stuff, and he was being really open. But there was like a lapse where we were just quiet and sitting out on the patio, and I was like, "Oh, this is really comfortable." And I was like, "Okay, this is my type of person," because it's super important. I like too with her piece that you're talking about, especially when you put into perspective what happens to her earlier in the game, where there is a moment where if you don't choose right, she kills herself.
Yeah.
Right.
Her duty drives her to take her own life, and Shepard's friendship is what saves her. And I feel like sharing her peace with them is kind of her way of saying thank you. Of
Yeah.
like, I have this peace because of you. And she's got all those years of wisdom, man. You get older, you get wiser, you learn some shit, you learn how to pick your battles. And I feel like she sees Shepard as somebody that is constantly having to shoulder the burden, constantly having to pick up everybody's fight. And that's kind of her way of gifting him or her that peace. Like, here,
Yeah.
you've earned this. And as my friend, I trust you with my peace. And I don't know. It's one of the most beautiful moments of the Citadel DLC as well, because it's so not forced. It's not this big dramatic lead off of like, let us sit in silence now. It's just like, no, I'm not ready to go yet. Let's just hang out. And it's like, I don't know. That was meaningful, especially to somebody like myself that really values alone time and being in silence. I was a hermetic monk for a year. I took a vow of silence for a year.
Oh, wow.
And my life was so much more simple. There's no social media, no nothing. It was just me, silence, and introspection, and it was great. And I don't know, kind of that year really is kind of what I always think about when I play through anything with her story arc. There's a lot of wisdom in it. There really is. Silence is the best teacher sometimes, and she's got a lot of years, a lot of centuries of silence.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for sharing that. That was lovely.
From Samara, there is one more pal to hang out with.
It's Zaid Masani, someone that
Yeah.
unfortunately MJ doesn't have around.
Right, which means I missed out on one of my favorite things to happen during the party. But I could talk about it during the party. It's fine.
But for me, Zaid wants to meet us at the arcade, which I thought was odd for a bloodthirsty merc, but why not? And you come upon Zaid very frustrated with a claw machine, or the equivalent of. And you have this great conversation about pride and drive, and that like Zaid shows that when he cares about something, he will give it his all, which is something you've learned over the series. And like, it's just he runs out of credits and still hasn't won this thing. And so he's like, credits. He doesn't even ask you for credits. He just pretty much says, give me money. And I just love it.
You pay me.
And then he eventually wins it and gives it to the society, like, here's your toy. And then you walk out of this. It's just such a silly, lovely moment. While I don't always love Zaid's story, I love the character and I love his voice actor. And so getting these extra moments with him are so fun.
I love him. He's my best friend. I love Zaid so much. Him macking on Samara, him rigging a hot tub to explode, him getting angry at a freaking claw machine. Like, he's so rough and angry and dangerous in some lights, and then other lights he's just a giant toddler. He's the 4-year-old that won't sit down and shut up and keeps getting into the candy, is just perpetually on a sugar high, and like, he didn't care, man. And honestly, if you got that much firepower, do you really have to care? Like, if somebody
he's the
pisses you off,
dumbass that
shoot him.
God couldn't stop.
Exactly. I don't know. It was so perfect for him because it was so out of the ordinary, and his entire personality is that. Just, he's so dumb and smart at the same time. And like, oh God. God bless Zaid. What a gem. What a goddamn gem. I hope you guys don't have to like bleep out cuss words.
No.
No,
go nuts. We say fuck the elusive man all the time. You're fine.
Okay.
Like our
If not,
catchphrase.
it's going to be a beep, 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 beep throughout the entire podcast.
I don't have anything to say about Zaid because, again, I lost him in 2, which was stupid in my opinion. Anyway, but also I didn't really care for him in 2, so I do not feel like I'm missing anything, though I know that I am.
Fair enough.
So let's talk about the Armax arena, and let's try and make it quick.
Yeah. Why don't you, MJ, give us a rundown of the Armax arena and then the kind of story stuff that you can do, and of course talk about the big cool thing.
So it is basically a commercialized and better Pinnacle Station.
Yes.
There's no point to Pinnacle Station when you have the Armax arena. It gives you an opportunity to like do these simulated combats. You can bring in whatever squad mate you want. You earn tokens for each match that you successfully complete, and then you use those tokens to spend on more things to make it more difficult or to make it easy, whatever you want. I thought it was a lot of fun. The big like plot points with it, aside from hanging out with Jack at Armax, is that there is something broken in the arena, and the tech boys basically like give you settings to play with and like, just do all of this and like we'll figure it out. You broke the scoreboard, so you're the person that we need to talk to in order to help us do this. And when you put all the settings together, then the arena completely breaks and you're trapped inside of it until you kill everything.
Paradise.
It's so good. It's fun. It's interesting. You get a good armor out of it.
Yeah. And what I loved about it is we're playing it late enough in the game that like I barely fired bullets. I mostly biotic charged and biotic shockwaved my way through the whole thing. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like that you also get like email from your fans asking for certain types of matches, and like people reaching out, like saying what they love, creepy fans telling you how much they really love you. It's wild.
My
Hilarious.
favorite part about the emails was that multiple times you find out about young girls who look up to Shepard. And as a femme Shepard, as a feminine non-binary person, it like made me really emotional to think about like little girls out there who look at my Shepherd and go like, that's a hero, like that's someone that I can emulate. Because especially with our playthrough where we're working so hard to be ourselves in it, it feels very validating.
Yeah, totally.
I got nothing to say, man. That shit was just cool. I just really liked it. I thought it was cool as hell.
Yeah, I liked Armax. I thought it was fun and it was really like interesting. Whereas Pinnacle Station was like it was a slog, whereas Armax was engaging and just enjoyable. I got great new armor, so I'm happy about it.
So now it says in the notes, MJ wants to talk about the Vorcha.
Yes, I just want to call attention to this one Vorcha that's hanging out on the Silver Sun Strip who's talking to an N7 operative. And like the N7 operative is like venting about some other soldier that compromised a mission that they were on, and the Vorcha keeps like interjecting, being like, "Oh fuck that guy," and just being really supportive. And it's a human talking to this Vorcha, and the Vorcha's just like, "No, that sounds bad. Like that guy sucks." And then by the end of the conversation, the human's like, "So, do you think maybe we could run a mission together?" And the Vorcha's like, "What kind of gun do you have? Call me when you're up to the Widow 10. Then we'll talk." I'm just like, bless you. You and the Blasto Vorcha, two of my favorite characters in the entire Citadel DLC. There was a lot of really good, like, third-party conversations happening on the Silver Sun Strip. Like, you met the Elcor who portrayed Hamlet in Francis Kitt's Elcor production of Hamlet.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And, like, it was just good. I really like how they fleshed out the Silver Sun Strip, and now we can move on. I just wanted to talk about that one Vorcha.
Well, I think that's
actually
that's a good transition point because we're going to spend some time talking about the party. I think going through all of the events of the party, like there's a lot. We're going to cover as much as we can, but like just like the ambient discussions in the Silver Sun Strip were great. What I love about the party scene is once you're about to start the party, Glyph now suddenly has a cute little digital bow tie, and it's the best thing ever. I love Glyph. I fell in love with Glyph in this DLC because like all the shit he's yelling at you during the clone fight also, like it's just great.
He's doing his best.
Sweetie.
He's doing his best. But once the party starts, the ambient conversation around you like is real conversation. Like that's just happening around you. And then when you that are related to the conversations you'll hear as you go up to the different groups. And I love that. It felt like a real party, but it wasn't so cacophonous that I couldn't handle it, right? Like it felt like a natural party environment. There are a lot of things to highlight. We've mentioned briefly some favorite moments, but like one of my favorite interactions is there is a conversation of Vega putting his foot in his mouth further and further when it comes to biotics. And I just love that gets resolved with Liara lifting him with biotics and him saying that it's doing more for him than just feeling tingly. And like I ship a Liara Vega romance. I want it to happen. I'm into it. Let's do it. I want that fic. Make it happen.
Yeah, I think the best way to go about this party is just like highlight the things that you really enjoyed about it. The party happens in 3 phases. You dictate the mood of the party. I went for energetic because we all need to like blow off some steam. When the second phase happened, I was like, make it louder.
Yeah, I went for energetic also because I'm an actual DJ and I want to hear that banging dance music. Let's go.
There's also a lot of moments where you have to choose between people to like support them or dictate which way the argument's going to go. For example, there's Joker who everybody is like, we need to take you out shooting. You need to work on like your manliness. This is a man emergency. And Joker's like, did you not see my hot robot wife? Like, I don't need to know how to shoot. I have a hot robot wife.
Bless Joker.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I love the moments with I love the pissing contest up at the top on the balcony with the Biotics versus Vega. I love Garrus talking about like, oh, I do say calibrations got a lot. Oh, my bad. And I don't know, just that the conversation is great. And I like it too because it was broken up in groups of people like you would see in an actual You have the loud ass dancers that, are there to just cause chaos. You have the person, which is me, that just will sneak in ordering a pizza and hope nobody notices. You've got the people in the bar area that are just wanting to chill and drink and shoot the shit and I don't know. I think it was really great, and I think it was cool too to kind of see everybody poke fun at Shepard with the dancing, even though some of y'all have some shitty dance moves too. I don't know why y'all are talking some shade, because
I wrote that too. None of you get to say shit to me because half of you look exactly like me when you dance, so get fucked.
I will say
so
Tali was the best dancer on that dance floor, and give me more
Jack.
of Dolly dancing. Yeah, and Jack. Jack was up on the pool table, like she wasn't messing around.
Yeah, she is. I think my favorite though. I don't know what specifically triggers it, because I've had playthroughs where I did the exact same thing, like literally exact same thing, and then I didn't get this dialogue. But whatever it is you do, there's a dialogue with Zaid and Garrus.
Yes,
you have to romance Garrus, or I know that's one of them, but like.
This is what I missed out on.
Right? And he's like, how do I make this place got a lot of weak points. How do I make my girlfriend safe? And he's going into like super protective boyfriend mode. And then Zaid's like, well, we could rig the hot tub to blow up. And they're like, yeah, let's do that. That's a great idea. Shepard's just like, please don't blow up my hot tub. I just got this. I would like to actually get into it before you guys blow it all to hell. That'd be great. But they're like so calm about it.
They are. And Garrus is like, sweetheart, let your boyfriend do what he's got to do to protect you.
It's beautiful.
Your new passcode is I heart Garrus.
Could you imagine though being the spouse of Commander freaking Shepard, and like, they saved the galaxy, saved the world. Let me have this one thing, okay? Let me take care of you in this one area. I can't cook. I can't drink your wine. Just let me do this. Let me have one win, please.
Yeah, the one moment during phase 2 of the party that I was shocked that MJ was able to keep from me all this time was Grunt sleeping in the shower from drinking too much. I freaked out when I saw it. I took a screenshot and sent it to MJ. Like, my poor adorable drunken son. He's just snoring in the shower with the shower on.
I love him trying to keep people out of the party, and just every time people come up in the elevator, he's just like, no.
And then
Go away.
And then he's like, he asks you to try it, and Shepard's like, no. He's like, yeah, now you're getting it. So good.
Best tank, baby. Best son.
Best son in the world.
If he's your son and Garrus is your boo, you got a protective boyfriend and a protective son. I mean, really, what else do you need in your life?
Nothing. Right. There's a conversation between Miranda and Jack where they're having a girl chat, and I chose for Shepard to be like, can't you guys just make out?
I did the same thing, and it unites them. They're just like, what the hell is wrong with you? It's so good.
Like, well, I don't know what you want from me. Clearly, there's something going on, and I think everyone should just be gay and get it over with. Exactly.
There's a conversation that Liana alluded to earlier with Traynor putting her foot in her mouth further and further with Edie, which is great because simultaneously Tali is having a minor panic attack that she didn't eat the dextro cheese and is going to die.
Like, I am both Traynor and I am both Tali in this moment of like, oh, this makes me feel so uncomfortable. I want to leave. But also, I'm the idiot that said something and now I'm having it thrown back at me. Oh no.
Bless this entire DLC, man. I don't think there's one low moment. Like, Leviathan had a little moment. Shadowbroker had its little moment. Citadel was just a gift from start to finish.
It really was. Prothean parties, however, sound super fucking boring.
Yes. Yeah. I do like that at one point you can Zaid, Javik, Rex, and Grunt are all chatting, and they're just trying to decide who would win in a fight between Grunt and Rex, and it's the typical, you're a wee baby, what do you know? Oh yeah, well you're an old man, you're ancient, I'm gonna kick your ass. Like, I love that. It's so good. And then they start headbutting each other, and Shepard's like, can we not break my apartment?
Treachery! I love them. It's so good. I don't know if there's anything else specific that I really want to talk about. Kasumi. Let's talk about Kasumi, who's invisible
creeper?
for pretty much the entire party. Except when she pops up to, like, harass Jacob or to, like, go through your drawers.
I love that I love that the one-liner on the ship that you could miss of her having clearly a deep crush on Jacob comes to fruition here as she continues to creep on him the entire party. And every time Shepard's like, Kasumi, stop it. But yeah, I love that you walk into your closet and she's just going through your drawers and you can see her. And
Commenting on your underwear.
It's just the weird. She's such a little weirdo. I love it.
She is. And you
I
can't tell
think
her
my
that she's a weirdo.
appreciation for her has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
Like playing through her again with the remaster, and just her lighting looks great. Like the reflection in her eyes because she's hooded just makes it even more impactful. But like she is an underrated gem. She's got some of the funniest combat lines too.
Yep.
So to see her like not have to be showy in the Citadel DLC in the party, but you still very much got her personality through. I'm like, yes, that's an excellent character.
The one thing that made me sad was that Karen couldn't make it, and I feel betrayed and let down by BioWare that my mom couldn't be at my party.
Yeah, Dr. Chaco's not being at the party was a big oversight.
I don't know why they didn't do that. Like, because like we know Homegirl can like throw down. She literally gets drunk with you on the Normandy. Like, what? That made no sense. That's the same nonsensical reasoning that not having Jack be a romance option for FemShep. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's all written into the story. This is canon. What are you doing?
I do like that phase 3 is the dancing phase. And like there's a section
Or
where
just checking on your people. You don't have to go with dancing.
that's true. Or just checking on your people, but I like if you go with dancing, which I did, you can convince Joker to dance.
Yeah.
And I love that your argument after Edie strikes out is just Joker, come on. And he's like, fine. It's just so good.
It's be cool. Come on.
He's a gem.
He
Joker's
is.
my favorite character of the whole series. I love him so much.
Loved Seth Green.
Oh, in my party, Ashley and James hook up.
Oh, I mean, Samara and Zaid were flirting in mine, but I didn't see anyone hook up.
They were flirting pretty hard.
Yep.
Zaid's just like, I just want to cuddle.
He's such a cool guy.
I just want to rest my head on your bosom, for it is a safe place.
Please let me.
That is the one thing that I missed about Zaid being at this party.
And then the only other thing I want to comment on is you get to experience the aftermath. I wake up in the loving arms of Kaden, and we talk about how great the night ended, and then you get to wander around and look at everyone just. I love
Hungover.
everyone hungover. I love James's big chef energy, himbo chef energy, making eggs. And like, if you talk to him, he's like, "You want eggs? Hey, how about you? You want eggs? Eggs? Anybody?
The man's
eggs?"
got eggs. Peddling eggs.
Oh my god.
And like, if you talk to Caden's like, "I'm great. I had a cup of coffee. Who wants coffee? You want coffee? How about you? I want coffee. I'm great. How can I have another cup of coffee?" Like, he's so wired.
Aiden is all of us.
He is.
He is beautiful.
My chef woke up with Garrus. It was a very sweet moment, very tender. Of like, I hung out a lot of places last night. Your hip, your waist. You don't lack for places to get lost.
Aww. What
It's
a mush ball.
so sweet.
I also love that there's a data pad on the floor that you can interact with that is just like Morden highlights. It's him singing. It's him running a children's show. It's him doing Bill Nye the Science Guy stuff. It's great. It's just.
I also
delightful.
really like that the war asset you get for this party is team spirit.
Yep.
Morale, man.
Gotta love it.
Yeah,
I
but most
love
people feel like death.
Yep.
Except for Jack, who doesn't get hangovers.
I do like that you get the photo moment also is great.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
I love the photo.
You take a photo before the night ends, and then I like when you wrap up the Citadel DLC, they all meet on the dock and like look at the Normandy. And for me, it was Caden and Shepard sharing a final moment, just talking about how Shepard being like, this could be, I'm glad we had this. It could be the last time that we get to do this. And Caden's essentially like, I know you'll figure out something. We're going to win this.
Yeah.
We're going to stop them.
Something similar with Garrus. He says, like, the best times of my life have been on that ship. And, like, it's true because you met the person that you love on that ship. You had so many experiences on that ship. And it feels like it's about to be over. And as we know, it is about to be over.
Hey, what? When I was active duty, our ships didn't look like that. Ours were 6,500 sailors crammed in like sardines. I hated that shit. I couldn't wait to be like, see you guys. I liked it. I like you. You're sure you're great people, but I never want to see you again.
That's valid.
My favorite moment was, are we at the ending yet? Can we talk about the ending?
Yes.
I love, because like I said earlier, my favorite part of this entire series is the third game because of the somberness and because of the martyrdom and the soft acceptance. And you really see that with the love interest when everybody's in high spirits, but they know they got to go back. And you can really tell they're trying to be strong for their love interest of like, yeah, it was the best. And like, but you can see their shoulders hunking down. You can see that responsibility just slowly itching back into their bones. And it's so sad. Like when we get to that third stage in the party, I get anxiety almost, which is so strange. But I get this like crescending feeling of anxiety because I know obviously what the ending is. And I know that final send off right before you get back on the Normandy. And then everything goes just back to normal, like nothing happened. And it's sad. It's sad, but it's so respectful. It's a nice, respectful tie-in to the tone of the rest of the game versus just being abruptly thrown in and then abruptly pulled back out. Like it's like, okay, we're coming back to reality now. Like, let's do it.
Yeah, totally. It's bittersweet, but I think it's executed excellently.
Speaking of bittersweet, we were 2 episodes from the end of the game.
Yeah, we are. This long 3-season, 3-game podcast extravaganza, as it were.
Extravaganza. Sorry.
That's okay.
You should never apologize for art.
Yeah, exactly. We are going to start wrapping up, but before we wrap up this episode, we have to dive into Fandom Corner. What have you brought us?
Fandom Corner.
What have you brought
One day
us?
I'll get a theme song.
No, never. I refuse. What have you brought us to look at today?
So I found some really beautiful pins. You'd think that by now I would have found all the Mass Effect pins and would own all of them, but I found more. Psychic Interval on Etsy has these really beautiful Reaper pins featuring Sovereign, Harbinger, and Leviathan, the one that started it all. And there's like different backgrounds to them. For Sovereign, you see this starry night sky and the clouds. For Harbinger, you see like this honeycomb pattern and some like circuitry, which calls back to the collectors. And for the Leviathan, it's clearly deep underwater. And they're just like really elegantly designed.
Yeah, they look really cool. I love the design of these pins. I am now a person who collects enamel pins. I've become that guy. So these would make
it's queer culture. You're just embracing it now.
Yeah, exactly. But these look awesome. I love them and definitely interested in picking one up at some point.
That's me, the person who brings you all of your Mass Effect enamel pins.
We will we will include a link in the show notes to that shop so you can get your very own. Now, before our outro, Liana, we have a Tumblr list full of questions attached to a character, so please pick a Mass Effect character.
Let's do Jack.
All right.
We talked about Jack a lot. Let's do her.
Let's do Jack.
Do you have any tattoos?
I do. All of them are gaming tattoos.
What kind of tattoos?
This is my
do you
chance
have?
to. It's appropriate because it's Mass Effect.
Yeah.
I have a Destiny tattoo of a ghost, and then I have a Reaper blending into the Mass Relay tattoo, and then it has watercolor splash behind it of red, purple, and blue to represent the 3 philosophies in the game. And then I have a tattoo of Solus from Dragon Age Inquisition with a bunch of wolves behind him, which is funny because he's actually the only character in Inquisition that I can't stand. But I love his character art so much.
I love that. That's amazing.
Choices.
It's definitely a choice.
I will have more, though. I have a cute little Morden one that I want to do. That's like a little chibi Morden that I want to do next.
Aw, that sounds cute.
Awesome.
Matt, do you have any tattoos?
Nope, not a single one. I'm terrified of needles, and I will never get a tattoo.
Okay, that's
really. True. Every time I've gotten a tattoo, my tattoo artist hates me because I fall asleep every time. I don't know if I have like a pain kink or something that I'm just not aware of, but like I just get into this like trance state where like I think my soulless one, which takes up almost my entire bottom part of my arm and very colored, I like passed out within like 5 minutes, and then I woke up. It was a 5-hour tattoo, and I woke up at the end of it, and he
Oh,
was
to
like,
live your life.
he was like, I hate you. Because like I'm terrified because he's like you snore when you sleep, and he's like I'm terrified you're gonna wake up and forget where you are and just punch me in the face mid tattoo.
Yeah, that's a valid fear. That's a valid fear.
I was like I will do my best not to. I'm so sorry. I don't know why it happened. I like drooled. I was on my stomach and I was like drooling all over. It was terrible.
Oh man, amazing! I love it.
Embarrassing.
I have 2 tattoos.
What are your tattoos, MJ?
So my very first tattoo, Matt was actually with me when I got it.
Yep.
I got the Orin from Neverending Story, which I got because it's one of my favorite films and also one of my favorite books. And the message on the back of the Orin is to do what you will, which is a call to follow your heart in order to tell your story, which is why I got the Orin. And my other tattoo is similarly shaped. It is a reference to the Tamara Pierce Circle of Magic series, which I do my podcast Circle of Friendship about. And I actually had to explain this tattoo to someone that I work with today. And he was like, "What is that? I need to know." And it's about the 4 characters and their journey to become a family.
I love that. Awesome.
I would like to say that it is entirely possible to get a tattoo just because you think it's cute. You
Yes.
don't
Agreed. Agreed.
don't have to be
Doesn't have to be
like,
deep and meaningful.
It really doesn't. I just happen to be like this. Like, I think my next tattoo is going to be an Omni Blade on my forearm. So.
Yeah.
Thinking about doing one of those, yeah.
Hey!
It's a cool idea, right? Because it goes
Yeah.
on your arm. That's what it does. I want to do one of the ones I had was Morgan. I love chibis, man. They're just cute. Chibi Alistair getting choked by a chibi Morgan.
I love that. That's great.
I was like, I can't wait to explain that to people. Goth girlfriend mad. That's all you need to know.
With the caption, "Choke me like you hate me, but you love me."
Oh, get some corpse husband in here. Okay. Okay. I'm not mad at it. All right.
Listeners, if you have any tattoos, please share them with us on social. We'd love to see them. Let's wrap this massive bad boy up. Our next episode, we're closing in on the end. We are going to be doing Priority Cerberus headquarters with the incredible Mark Magro, one of the other members of the Dinosaur Machines Game Club podcast. We have had Dave on earlier this season, and we are closing in on the end of the season. Also, I want to give a gigantic thank you to the incredible and awesome Liana Ruppert. Thank you for being here. You're amazing. Please tell folks where they can find you and all that you do on the internet.
You're awesome. Thank you guys for letting me just mouth off and talk for eternity. Because you all know that's how I do. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Twitch at Dirty Effin' Hippie, DirtyEffinHippy. Don't ask. It's a long story. I also started a YouTube channel because I've been wanting to for a while. And I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's not professional by any means, but I've been having a lot of fun. Anyway, that's youtube.com/ wow. I just did the old people Karen thing of www. Anyways, YouTube/ Liana Ruppert official, because somebody already claimed the Liana Ruppert, which is weird, but whatever. I'm not here to judge. So yeah, you can find me there and GameInformer.com.
Awesome. Go check out all those things, all the follows. Liana's awesome. Trust us, we know.
Meanwhile, if you like what you heard here, follow us on social media. We're at ReignitePod on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. Our Tumblr has been very active lately. Mainly because I just zoned out and reblogged everything that I saw. Anyway, facebook.com/reignitepod, or you can send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcatcher. It helps us get seen so other people can find us.
We're also members of the Certain Point of View podcast network. You can visit certainpov.com to find more nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord server and join us in the conversation while keeping things about the Citadel DLC from me is over. I still have yet to play Andromeda, and we have a separate channel keeping things from me there. Your time is limited there as well, as we are closing on the end of the season, but join in the conversation for now while it lasts.
Woo. Personal plugs. Matt and I do some other stuff. Season 3 of Deep Magic has finally begun. If you like stories of magic, found family, and queer people just trying their best, you can check us all out on twitch.tv/Archives of the Dragon every Friday. And also, we are starting a new show that Mass Effect fans will be really excited about. It's called Project Trailblazer, and it's going to be in the N7.world Mass Effect TTRPG campaign. It's being run by my darling spouse, Professor John Bradley Lestrange, and I'm going to play a Drell Vanguard.
Nice.
And my whole ethos is be gay, do crime.
Nice.
Yes.
So that's going to be fun. That is, again, twitch.tv/Archives of the Dragon.
You can find everything that I do at djstormageddon.com, my Twitch stream, my Ko-fi, my merch store, literally everything, all of my podcasts. So go check out all the stuff that I'm working on there, especially my Twitch channel, which is DJ_Stormageddon at twitch.tv. I have been a featured Fuser streamer for a while now, which has been really awesome. There's some new stuff coming to Fuser that I'm really excited about. And if you want to just put on a stream and dance your ass off, come through. It's a lot of fun.
We'd like to thank Red Spinksfar. It's okay to be a marshmallow t-shirt on Redbubble featuring our favorite marshmallow, Caden Alenko. You can find more of his work at Chaos Does Art on Instagram.
We'd also like to thank Carter's husband for developing more amazing t-shirts that you can find at certainpov.com or on Teespring.
Thank you to David Boyle for designing our logo, which you can also get on a shirt through Redbubble. And finally, thank you to Dan Bull for letting us use the Mass Effect rap for our theme music. I'm MJ.
And I'm Matt, aka Stormageddon.
I'm Liana Ruppert. We should go.
You're listening to Reignite. I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite podcast on the Citadel.
Hey there, Screen Beans. Have you heard about Screen Snark?
Rachel, this is an ad break. They aren't screen beans until they listen to the show.
Fine. Potential Screen Beans. You like movies and TV shows, right?
I mean, who doesn't? Screen Snark is a casual conversation about the movies and television shows that are shaping us as we live our everyday lives.
That's right, Matt. We have a chat with at least one incredible guest every episode, hailing from all walks. We've interviewed chefs,
Writers, costumers, musicians,
yoga teachers, comedians, burlesque dancers,
folks in the film and TV industry,
and more.
We'd be delighted for you to join us every other Monday on the Certain POV Podcast Network.
Or wherever you get your podcasts, fresh and tasty off the presses.
What? That's not...
Can I call them Screen Beans now?
Fine.
Screen Beans!
So tune in and we'll see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere.
'Cause you're all Screen Beans now.
She will be mine.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.